Hey students, welcome back. Today we are going to solve merge intervals problem on LeetCode. Let's look at the problem statement first. The problem statement says we are given an array of intervals where interval of I represents start and end coordinates of the interval. We have to merge all overlapping intervals and return the non-overlapping intervals that cover all the given input. So we have seen in a previous video what intervals are and what is an overlapping interval. I would suggest to go through that once. Okay. So let's take a look at what this problem is with an example. So here the example says we are given 1, 3, 2, 6, 8, 10, 15, 18. So first let's represent this in a number line so that we can easily figure out what a overlapping interval, what do they mean by an overlapping interval. So first let's draw a line. Okay. So we have a number line. Okay. And what are the given inputs? We have 1, 3, 2, 6, 8, 10, and 15, 18. Okay, these are the given inputs. Now, let's say this is 1, 3. Okay, this is 1, this is 3, this is 1, 3. Now, 2, 6. 2, 6, 2 is less than 3, so it should be somewhere here. Let's say this is 6. Next, then we have 8, 10. Let's say 8 is somewhere here and 10 is somewhere here. This would be 8, 10. Next 15, 18. 15, 18. Okay. So these are our given intervals. So what are they expecting us to do? So we have to find out the overlapping intervals. Okay. Which in case here this these two are not overlapping. 8, 10, 15, 8 are not overlapping with anything else. Whereas 1, 3, 2, 6, they have a overlapping part. So when there is a overlapping section, we have to merge these two things. Okay. So that means the result becomes 1, 6, 8, 10, 15, 18. Okay. This is our output. So how do we achieve this? So as we have seen here, when we represented these things in a number line, it was very easy for us to figure out how if there is any overlapping one. So the condition for overlapping is very simple. If start of a interval lies is less than end of another interval. Okay, that means these two intervals are overlapping. Okay, so in a brute force way, you can check this condition with every other interval and figure out if there are any overlaps. But the simple trick here is if you sort these intervals by start time, they form a sequence in a number line. So if in that case, we don't have to compare it with every other interval. If we just compare it with the next interval, that is good enough. For example, to see if 2, 6 has any overlap, we don't have to compare it with every other interval. We just have to compare it with its previous one. Okay. That is the simple trick we have. So what we will do is we will first sort by start. Start. Okay. Then for each interval, we will compare with the previous one if it is overlapping or not. If it is overlapping, we will merge them and create a new interval. If it is not overlapping, that should be in our result. So that is the simple logic here. Let's try to code this. Okay. So first thing is we are saying we need to sort it. Okay. Let's sort it. Okay. Arrays dot sort intervals and we have to pass a comparator because it's a double dimensional array. Okay. we can either define the comparator ourselves or we can use the inbuilt comparator dot comparing int. Okay. Here, what is the integer that we have? Given an interval, we have to compare it with start. So, given interval I, we have to compare it with start, which is I of 0. Okay. So, you can look for comparator dot compare int. So, it basically takes just one integer as an input and sorts the entire array using that integer. Okay. Here we are providing that integer. Okay. So this will sort our array. So once we have a sorted array, now we have to form a merged list. So our output type is double dimensional integer array. But manipulating that would be tough. So what I would do is I will create a integer array list which has intervals in it, and later I will convert it to the output type. So I am taking a list of intervals. Okay. Now what do we do? How do we compute? So for each interval in the given intervals, okay, we check if this is the first interval. If it is the first interval, we don't have to do anything. We just have to add the interval. Okay. If it is the first interval, we just have to add it to the list. Add it to the output merged list. And what is the other case where we have to add it to the list? If they are not overlapping, what do we mean by not overlapping? The current interval we have, which is whatever is on top of the merged list. So that current interval start or end. Current interval's end is 1. If the current interval's end is less than new intervals start, that means they are not overlapping. So if the list is empty, all the intervals are not overlapping, then in this case we simply add that interval to the merged list. If that is not the case, that means there is a merged interval. There is a overlapping interval, which means we have to merge it. So how do we merge it? We already have one interval in a list, correct? We have to we already know the start of it. We have to figure out the end. End will be max of whatever we have in the interval or current interval. Whatever is bigger, we will take that. We have to take the max because sometimes it can be that the interval is just completely overlapping. Okay, let's say we have an interval 2 and 6 in a list. Now we get a new interval. Let's call it 3 comma 5. Now 3 comma 5 is definitely overlapping because it is here. But we can't just take second element of 5 because 5 is less than the 6. So we have to take maximum of these two to cover completely overlapping intervals as well. Okay, so that is what we are doing by doing a math.max here. So once we complete this, we will have our result in the merged array. So we have to convert this list to array. We use the list provided to array method. Here the input for this is just to specify the type of the array. So size of it doesn't really matter. That is why I'm declaring it as 0. Okay, so that will return a new array of required type. Okay, so let's submit this and see. Okay, so this is how we figure out. So let's do a dry run of this code and see how it works out. Let's copy the code here. These are our inputs, which is, let's say our inputs are 1 comma 3, okay, 2 comma 6, 8 comma 10, and 15 comma 18. So what are we doing here? First, we are maintaining a array list of intervals. Initially, there is nothing in it. For each interval, we are checking if merged is empty. Merged is empty. So the first one goes into the list. Okay. Next we look at 2 comma 6. When we get to 2 comma 6, merged is not empty. So this condition is false. And merge dot get last of 1. Merge dot get last of 1 is 3. Okay. Merge dot get last of 1 is 3. And current interval is 2 comma 6, right? 2 comma 6 start is 2. Is 3 less than 2? No. So we won't add the same thing. But what we will do is we will create a merged one. So what will we do? We have to change this 3 to reflect the merged one. So we have two intervals 1 comma 3 and 2 comma 6. We have to merge them. Start point is fixed. We have to figure out the end. End is max of these two intervals, which is max of 3 comma 6. So this becomes 6. Okay, we are changing this to 6. Now our next input 8 comma 10. So once we reach 8 comma 10, is the merged empty? No, merged is not empty. But merge dot get last of 1, which is 6, is 6 less than 8. Yes, that is true. So we will just add to the merged list. We'll just add 8 comma 10 because this is a new interval. Now the next one is 15 comma 18. So is 10 less than 15? Yes, that means they are not overlapping. So we will just add 15 comma 18 also to this list. So that is how we get to our answer. Hope this dry run was helpful. So in every problem, if you just do a dry run with an example, that will give you much clearer idea. Thanks for watching.